Welcome to our first chapter review from the text, Business Ethics Now. You will notice right away that I am using the slides developed by the publisher of our textbook. I am adding an audio to hopefully liven this up a bit and clarify a few points. Please remember that it is not enough to view this video and then take the quiz. You do need to actually read the chapter. If it's any consolation, the chapters are fairly short. This chapter will attempt to define ethics and will present several theories about ethics and ethical reasoning. This definition of ethics was developed by the Josephson Institute of Ethics. Now, I had no idea that there was an Institute of Ethics, but I guess there are several. According to this definition, ethics is about how we meet the challenges of doing the right thing when that will cost more than we want to pay. To paraphrase, ethical behavior involves doing what we believe is right, even when it is difficult to do. So really, what is ethics? Our text tells us that ethics involves how people try to live their lives according to their specific standard of right and wrong. This involves not only how we behave towards others, but also how we would like others to behave towards us. But how do we really come to understand right and wrong? As we grow up, we are influenced by friends, family, religion, school, and our ethnic easy for me to say, our ethnic background and role models. Those all help us develop our own moral compass, and we make decisions on how we should live based on that. When we try to put these beliefs into a code of behavior, we are really developing a value system. Now, there are really two types of values. An intrinsic value, which is a value which is a good thing in and of itself and is pursued for its own sake, like happiness or health or self-respect. An instrumental value means that the pursuit of one value is a good way to reach another. For example, money is valued for what it can buy, rather than for itself alone. Okay, but the world is not so simple. There are a lot of gray areas, and that makes our future discussions in this class interesting. An example of value conflict might be, I think we can all agree that killing is wrong, but what if you had to kill someone in self-defense? Now maybe we have a gray area. Most people would say that behaving ethically just means doing the right things. It all comes down to the simple truth, right or wrong, good or bad. Others might say ethics is a question of personal integrity. Ethics also might mean the rules of appropriate individual behavior or the rules of appropriate behavior in a community or society. Finally, most people believe that ethics can be summarized in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If this is all starting to sound philosophical, it really is. In fact, great thinkers have been debating about ethics for over 2,500 years, and we only have 8 weeks. Ethical theories can be divided into 3 categories. Virtue ethics, which means living your life according to a commitment to the achievement of a clear ideal. What sort of person would I like to become, and how do I go about becoming that person? The second approach to ethics is utilitarianism, ethics for the greater good. This focuses on the outcome of your actions rather than the apparent goodness of the actions themselves. This is really an ends justify the means thought process. Your text uses the example of the Nazi Party launching genocide to restore the Aryan race. If you believe that restoring the Aryan race is a greater good, then utilitarianism would justify genocide. Not a great argument in this case, I don't think. The third theory of this ethics is universal ethics, in which states that actions are taken out of duty and obligation to a moral ideal, rather than based on the needs of the situation. This is kind of the reverse of utilitarianism. If all you focus on is abiding by a universal principle, no one is accountable for the consequences of specific actions taken to abide by those principles. Your text uses the current debate over stem cell research to explain the concerns with this theory. well worth reading. Obviously, there is no clear, comprehensive theory of ethics. There's really only a choice based on your own personal value system. So many people choose the idea of ethical relativism, where the traditions of your society, your personal opinions, and the circumstances of the present moment define your ethical principles. This definition implies some degree of flexibility rather than just black and white rules. Up to now, we've just been talking about theories, but what we really want to talk about in this class is applied ethics, which is how ethical theories are put into practice, and in this class, how ethics are put into practice in business situations. We will really be talking about ethical dilemmas, which are situations in which there is no obvious right or wrong answer, but a right or a right answer. These are situations in which you are leaving an equally right choice undone, or likely to suffer something bad as a result of that choice, or contradicting a personal ethical principle in making that choice, or abandoning an ethical value for your community or society in making that choice. So how do you go about resolving ethical dilemmas? Well, here's a simple 3-step process. Step 1, first of all, analyze the consequences. What are the benefits and who will be harmed by each choice? Then analyze the actions. How do the actions measure up against your moral principles like honesty or fairness? And then step 3, make a decision using the first 2 steps. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Not really when you try to do it. A more detailed approach was developed by Arthur Dobrin. He suggests that first you identify what are the facts, what can you guess about the facts that you don't know, what do the facts mean, what does the problem look like through the eyes of the people involved, what will happen if you choose one thing rather than another, what do your feelings tell you, what will you think of yourself if you decide one thing or another, and can you explain and justify your decision to others? The concern with this approach is that it assumes you have time to think about all these things, that there's enough information to answer the questions, and that there are alternative resolutions. When we are attempting to resolve an ethical dilemma, we are following a process of ethical reasoning. Lawrence Kohlberg developed a framework that argues that we develop a reasoning process over time, and we move through 6 distinct stages. This somewhat blurry slide summarizes these stages: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. We will talk about each of these in greater detail. For level 1, preconditional, in stage 1, a person's response to right and wrong is focused on avoidance of punishment and deference to authority. Think of a very young child who learns right and wrong from a parent's response to his actions. In stage 2, which is individualism, instrumentalism, and exchange, a person decides something is right or wrong because it helps that person get what he or she wants and needs. This is just a further refinement of stage 1. Level 2, which is conventional, stage 3 is the good boy, nice girl orientation. At this point, a person is focused on meeting the expectations of family members. Conformity behavior is developed. Think of peer pressure here. Stage 4 is the law and order orientation. Again, this is the natural evolution of stage 3. At this stage, the individual is increasingly aware of society and the existence of codes of behavior. Level 3 is called the post-conventional level. Stage 5, at this stage, a person is now focused on individual rights and the development of standards based on critical examination. Something is either right or wrong because it has withstood the scrutiny of society. At stage 6, a person is focused on self-chosen ethical principles that are found to be comprehensive and consistent. Right and wrong is based on the individual value system. This stage is really an ideal, and not too many people remain at this stage consistently. Now, these stages are developmental. I'm sure we all know people who remain frozen at stage 1 and are willing to do anything as long as they don't get caught. Well, that's it for Chapter 1. Remember, if you have questions, you can email me or post questions on our Questions, Issues, and Concern discussion forum. I will be talking to you again for Chapter 2.